America's homeless epidemic is getting worse by the day. You see it everywhere. But instead of fixing the problem, the left's preferred solution is virtue signaling. In Denver, activists are pushing a measure they call the right to survive. The law would make it, if passed, legal for homeless people to set up camps wherever they want on public property forever. It won't fix homelessness. It will only encourage it. But it's a great idea for the people pushing it. They can show how deeply they care, how charitable they are, and then retreat to their gated communities and be totally isolated and safe. But what about everyone else? They're the ones who actually want to use public parks and libraries. Normal people are the ones who have to protect their kids from human waste and needles piling up on the sidewalk. For them, this law is just a way to make their lives even more unpleasant. But that may be exactly what happens if only families had a political party that was looking out for them. They could use one. Well, Beto O'Rourke isn't exactly an ideas guy. It's hard to be when you're stoned and you skateboard all the time. But sometimes O'Rourke goes against his better judgment and comes up with an idea anyway, air quotes around that word. That's how you wind up with an immigration policy like tear down all walls. But now Beto has another idea. He just revealed a $5 trillion plan to fight climate change.
We are announcing the most ambitious climate plan in the history of the United States. We will ensure that we're at net zero greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2050.
Wait a second. By 2050? We're keeping track, so we just wanted to let you know that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a climate scientist, has already explained that waiting until 2050 is pointless. Why? Because the entire planet will be gone in just 12 years.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. Like, this is the war. This is our World War II.
Like, come on, Beto, get off the skateboard and get it together. $5 trillion by 2050? No. It needs to be $50 trillion by 2030, or you aren't even trying. In fact, you're a climate denier. Well, 25 years ago, the left boasted about its efforts to help ordinary Americans by securing the border. Now they treat any effort to fight illegal immigration as a crime against humanity. In fact, the definition of bigotry. And why wouldn't they feel that way? They have private schools and gated communities. It's always 1955 where they live. Diversity for thee, but not for me. They don't have to worry about the effects of their policies. But the rest of the population is not so lucky. Otero County, New Mexico, believes the illegal immigration crisis has gotten so bad that they have declared a state of emergency and may have to sue the state. Couey Griffin is chairman of the county commission there, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Griffin, thanks very much for coming on.
Hey, thank you, Tucker. It's a blessing to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you because you're experiencing this directly. So without, for our viewers who haven't followed every twist and turn, if you'd sum it up quickly, your governor has asked the National Guard to leave, basically leaving the rest of the state open. What effect has that had on you and your county?
Yeah, Tucker, it was at the very beginning of her term back in on January 11th, I believe. She went down to one of the most secured areas of our border in Santa Teresa, New Mexico, and had a political grandstand there. She said there's no crisis on our southern border. Everything's fine here. And shortly after that, she retracted about over 100,000 National Guard troops that were positioned along our border to secure our border. And since she made that statement, she has yet to acknowledge that there definitely is a crisis. I mean, it's coming from every front. Everybody around her is saying, there's a fire, there's a fire, there's a fire, and our governor is still yet to say there is a fire on our border.
Well, but why didn't she ask you about that? She doesn't live there, of course, you do. Why wouldn't she ask?
Yeah, because, there's just a disconnect, and it's a shame that this disconnect happens in government. But, what drove us to the point of declaring a state of emergency is our checkpoints, Tucker, have been closed since March 25th of this year. And those very checkpoints were put in place to provide security. Security first, the illegal flow of aliens, but more importantly, the illegal narcotics. And what we're experiencing in my county right now is a level that we have never seen before. I have a good friend of mine that works undercover narcotics inside the sheriff's department, and he's a veteran in the force, and he said he has never seen anything like what's going on right now. Since April 1st, our Sheriff's Department has seized over $80,000 of narcotics inside of our community. Just recently, Mark Campbell from HIDTA, High Intensity Drug Trafficking, a federal program, they seized enough fentanyl in an Amtrak train here in Albuquerque that if that fentanyl would have gone airborne, it would have had the potential to kill 40% of the people in New Mexico. So, I mean, we're experiencing drug trafficking like we've never seen before, and the threat to my county and our state is unlike anything we've seen before.
Well, I hope that they get the message, the people in the governor's mansion. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.